guys, welcome you all to the Insights into Books podcast. Let's start today's discussion.
Welcome, everyone, to what I think is going to be a really transformative deep dive today. We're getting into the heart of genuine happiness. We're exploring a guide that doesn't just, talk about happiness. It really challenges you, the listener, to actively explore it. So we're going to unpack some incredibly bold ideas, pushing against a lot of the conventional beliefs about finding joy and personal growth. Get ready, this might shift your perspective quite a bit.
Yeah, it definitely might. We're diving into a really practical guide, and it's rooted in Adlerian psychology. It promises some profound personal transformation. And it's not just abstract theory. This is really about how these principles can be applied, directly to your everyday life. At its core, this philosophy is guided by what Adler called the psychology of courage, and it offers a fresh, really empowering way to look at your life. Okay, let's unpack that first big one then. Because honestly, the idea that happiness is 100% a choice, that it's independent of external circumstances, that feels, incredibly difficult for a lot of people to swallow, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, when you're facing real adversity, maybe a job loss, a personal tragedy, even just the daily grind, how does this philosophy say we can still choose happiness? Is it about, ignoring reality? Or is it something deeper?
That's a great question, and it's probably the most common challenge to this idea. It gets right to the heart of it. The shift is, it's profound because it moves us from being reactive, waiting for things to get better, to being proactive. Instead of waiting for the storm clouds to pass, waiting for the new job, the perfect relationship, the debt to clear before we let ourselves be happy. This challenges us to find the joy within our current situation. It's recognizing that, okay, maybe you don't control the waves hitting your boat, but you absolutely control how you steer it. You control the sails.
Okay, so take a practical example. Monday morning, you're dreading work. How does taking full responsibility look then? It can't just be pretending you love it.
No, not pretending at all. It means finding your purpose for being there, right now, in this moment, even if it's small. Maybe the purpose is providing for your family. Maybe it's learning a specific skill. Maybe it's just contributing something meaningful to your team today. By consciously choosing your attitude, your focus, your actions, rather than letting the external situation dictate your internal state, you reclaim your agency. You take back the steering wheel. So the focus shifts. Instead of spending all our energy trying to eliminate the unhappiness, we focus on actively cultivating our natural happiness. A lot of people, as this guide points out, feel trapped by past regrets or trauma. They let those things define their present.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
This philosophy is a powerful call to break free from that. It empowers you to author your own emotional state, regardless of what's happened before. It's like tending a garden. You don't ignore the weeds. You acknowledge them, but you focus your energy on watering the flowers, on nurturing the plants you want to grow. It's an active cultivation.
So it's not about just slapping on a happy face. It's deeper. An internal reorientation. It's like a painter with a canvas. They don't wait for the perfect sunlight to magically reveal a masterpiece, do they?
Right.
Or wait for someone else to hand them the right colors. No, they pick up the brush, they choose their palette, and they start painting. They bring their vision to life actively. It's an active creation, not just receiving something passively. You're choosing the colors for your emotional canvas right here, right now, even if the canvas already has maybe some unwanted brushstrokes on it from before.
Precisely. That's a perfect analogy. The power to interpret, to choose your response, lies entirely within you, always.
Okay, now here's a concept that really challenges how we usually think about ourselves. Teleology. That sounds a bit academic. Can you break that down for us? Why is it so important here?
Absolutely. Teleology is a cornerstone of this way of thinking, and it completely flips the script on how we typically understand cause and effect in our own lives. So teleology argues that human behavior isn't primarily driven by past causes, etiology, but by future goals and purposes. The common way we think is etiological. I am this way because of my childhood, or I can't do that because of some past failure. It's very cause and effect, looking backwards.
Right. That feels intuitive. Blame the past.
Exactly. And it often leads to feeling like a victim of circumstances, or that our present is just inevitable because of what happened before. Determinism, essentially. But this philosophy radically challenges that. It says, yes, things happen in the past. They're part of your history, but they don't cause your present in that fixed, deterministic way. Instead, and this is the crucial bit, your present goals, your purpose right now, decide the meaning you give to your past.
Whoa. Okay, so the past isn't fixed.
Not in its meaning, no.
Yeah.
It's not a fixed blueprint. It's more like a reservoir of experiences. And we continually interpret and reinterpret them based on what we're trying to achieve now. Let's really dig into this because it's revolutionary. The material argues that the past, in a tangible sense that dictates your present, doesn't really exist. It's constantly being painted, as you said, by the colors of your now. Think about history writing itself.
Okay.
Who writes history?
Mhm.
Often the victors, right? They shape the narrative to justify their current power, their present goals. They select events, interpret them, emphasize some, ignore others, all to serve a present purpose.
Right, to make their rules seem legitimate or inevitable.
Exactly. And our individual memory works in a surprisingly similar way. We don't remember everything. We selectively choose events from our countless past experiences, the ones that align with our current goals or self-image. We give those events meaning, turning them into defining memories. And the events that clash with our current goals, they often get pushed aside, erased, or just lose their significance in our personal narrative. It's not usually deliberate deception, but a psychological way to maintain coherence.
Okay, that's fascinating. Is there an example of this?
Yes, the material gives a really compelling one. A man in counseling kept recalling a traumatic childhood event, being bitten by a dog. This memory fueled his present anxiety and maybe his negative view of the world. It seemed like a clear cause-effect link.
Makes sense.
But through more discussion, another part of the memory surfaced. He eventually remembered that immediately after the bite, a kind man on a bicycle stopped, rescued him, comforted him, and took him to the hospital.
Oh, wow. He'd forgotten the help.
Or rather, he hadn't chosen to make it part of the significant memory. His present goal, perhaps unconsciously, was to justify his anxiety or his worldview, so he focused solely on the trauma, the negative part. The meaning of the past event, was it purely traumatic, or was it also about unexpected kindness? Was entirely shaped by his present objective.
That really illustrates how flexible our personal history can be.
It does. It shows you're not chained to a fixed past. You are the active editor. You choose which parts of the story to highlight, what meaning to give them.
So what's the takeaway here? It feels incredibly liberating, doesn't it? To think we're not just passive victims of our past, stuck with whatever happened. We're active editors of our own life story. We have the power to reinterpret, to reshape those narratives, to serve us now, to serve our goals and aspirations. That's a huge shift from feeling like the past dictates everything. It gives you agency over your own story.
Precisely. That's the liberation it offers. And this teleological view, this focus on purpose, leads directly to another core principle, the immense power of living in the present moment. The material asserts quite boldly that neither the past nor the future truly exist as a concrete reality we can live in. All we ever truly have is the here and now.
That connects, right? If the past is just interpretation and the future is just projection.
Exactly. The past is how we interpret it now, and the future is a projection based on our current goals and mindset. So the only point of leverage, the only place where real choice and action can happen is this very moment, right now.
Okay, so focusing on the here and now isn't just some feel-good mindfulness trend. It's fundamental to this whole philosophy.
It's absolutely fundamental. This concentration on present living is crucial. It actively encourages you to let go of regrets about the past. You can't change the events, but you can change their meaning now. And it encourages releasing anxieties about the future, which hasn't happened yet and will be shaped by your actions now. By fully engaging with the present moment really being here, you can create meaningful experiences. You can actively shape your life as it unfolds, rather than just passively accepting things or blaming circumstances. It's about recognizing your inherent power to choose your response to whatever life throws at you, right in this instant. When you fully inhabit the here and now, you're not just existing, you're actively constructing your reality.
That's a powerful mindset shift, breaking free from the chains of what was and what might be, giving you agency over now.
Exactly. Life is a series of moments. Each now is your opportunity to live authentically, to make a choice, to contribute.
Okay, so we have this foundation. Happiness is a choice. Focus on purpose. Live in the now. Let's build on that. A cornerstone of happiness, according to this material, is self-acceptance. Embracing ourselves completely, flaws and all.
Yes, deep, unconditional self-acceptance. But it's crucial to understand this isn't self-love in a vacuum. It's not about becoming complacent or narcissistic. No, not at all. This self-acceptance is profoundly balanced with and actually enables another key element, contributing to the welfare of others.
How do those two connect? Accepting myself and contributing to others.
The idea is that genuine belief in oneself, true self-confidence, is what actually allows you to have faith in other people. When you accept yourself, acknowledging your strengths and your weaknesses without harsh judgment, you're then able to extend that same kind of acceptance and confidence towards others. You
Yeah.
don't need their validation anymore, see? So you can see them more clearly as they are without projecting your own insecurities or needs onto them.
Ah, okay. So if I don't accept myself.
Then you often get caught in a cycle. You seek validation externally. You're constantly looking for others to tell you you're good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. You need their praise, their approval.
Hmm.
But that quest for external approval, if you lack self-acceptance, becomes a bottomless pit. It's never truly satisfying. You might get the promotion, the compliment, but if you don't fundamentally accept yourself, it won't stick. It won't feel like enough.
Been there.
Right. It's only when you believe in your own inherent worth, just as you are, that you can genuinely believe in the worth of others. And then you can engage in authentic contribution without hidden agendas like needing something back.
I like the earlier analogy of the unique handcrafted item. Its quirks are part of its value. But practically speaking, how do we cultivate that deep self-acceptance? The world constantly tells us to fix ourselves, to be better, thinner, richer.
It's definitely a practice, not a one-time fix. It starts with awareness. Noticing those moments when you're judging yourself harshly or when you're fishing for that compliment, that external nod.
Okay, catch yourself doing it.
Yes. And then consciously shift the internal dialogue. Instead of, ugh, I'm so bad at X, I should be better, try acknowledging, okay, this is where I am with X right now. And that's okay. I can still contribute. I'm still worthy. The material really hammers home the courage to be imperfect. It suggests that if you refuse to accept your own imperfections, you're implicitly demanding perfection from others too. And that makes real connection impossible.
Because nobody's perfect.
Nobody. Embracing your own imperfections allows you to connect more authentically with others, with humanity. It's about saying, I am enough right now as I am. And from that solid ground, then you choose to grow, to contribute not out of lack, but out of fullness.
And this connects directly to another really challenging idea: the damage caused by seeking praise and validation from others as the basis for our self-worth. It feels like we're wired for that good job from day one.
We really are. It's a deeply ingrained social habit, reinforced constantly. And this philosophy puts it under a very critical lens. True happiness, true self-worth, the material argues forcefully, must come from intrinsic motivation, from internal validation, from deciding your own worth. Now, praise. It seems positive, right? Well-intentioned. But it's analyzed here as creating dependence. It turns people into. The philosopher uses a striking image: clockwork dolls that do not move unless another person winds them up.
Oh, wow. Clockwork dolls?
Yeah. Think about it. If your motivation is always external praise, you're always performing for an audience. You need someone else to wind your key. Your life becomes this ceaseless seeking, always chasing the next pat on the back, never feeling truly fulfilled from within. It's a performance, not authentic living.
So the alternative isn't just ignoring praise,
It's self-approval, the radical act of determining your own worth internally. You are the judge of your value, not the applause meter, not someone else's opinion. That's the path to real freedom. And this ties into another profound concept discussed: the courage to be normal.
the courage to be normal. That sounds almost countercultural today. Everyone wants to be special.
Exactly. But this isn't about aiming for mediocrity or hiding your talents. It's about embracing the idea that it's okay to simply be yourself, authentically, without this constant, exhausting need to be special, outstanding, or different from others just to feel valuable. It's about finding contentment and worth in your ordinary, unique self, free from the crushing burden of comparison. That, Adlerian psychology argues, is true individuality, being yourself without needing to prove it.
So trying too hard to be different is a trap.
It can be if you're constantly seeking to be different through comparison, or you deliberately accentuate your differences just to get attention. The material suggests that's often a form of self-deception. It stems from that same old need for external approval, just in a different guise. The philosopher points out, if you feel insulted or diminished by being called ordinary or normal, it's a sign you're still caught in that struggle to be a special me. You're still relying on external markers to define your worth.
That hits home.
It takes real courage, immense courage, to let go of that need.
Yeah.
To simply be, without needing the gold star, without needing to constantly differentiate yourself or outperform everyone else. It frees up so much energy to focus on what actually matters: contribution, connection, living your life.
I can see that. I remember stressing massively about a presentation, needing it to be earth-shattering. Later, I realized just showing up consistently and contributing quietly would have been more effective and way less straining. That's the courage to be normal right there, isn't it?
That's a perfect example. It resonates deeply.
So, okay, we understand these principles: self-acceptance, freedom from praise, courage to be normal. But what actually stops us? Why is it so hard to be truly independent and self-reliant? The material points to two big barriers.
Yes, two major hurdles many of us stumble over. The first one highlighted is a lack of courage. This often comes from really deep-seated fear. Fear of making the wrong decision, fear of failing, fear of the consequences.
The fear of messing up.
Exactly. And that fear can be paralyzing. It stops people from taking charge, from making their own choices. Think of someone who dreams of starting a business, but is terrified of losing money. Or someone stuck in an unhappy situation because they fear the unknown of leaving. Their lack of courage, rooted in that fear of negative outcomes, keeps them stuck. It prevents independent action.
So how do you overcome that? Just be more courageous.
Well, it involves actively facing those fears. Acknowledging them, yes, but not letting them dictate your actions. It means taking responsibility for your choices in your situation. And crucially, it means reframing mistakes. Seeing them not as shameful disasters to be avoided at all costs, but as natural, inevitable learning opportunities, chances for growth. This philosophy urges us to embrace those moments, understanding that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's often a necessary stepping stone on the path to success. It's having the courage to move forward despite the fear, not waiting for the fear to disappear.
Okay, lack of courage. What's the second barrier?
The second one is a lack of will.
Lack of will. How's that different from lack of courage?
It's related, but distinct. Lack of will is more about finding it easier, maybe more comfortable, to let others make decisions for you, to just follow instructions, to stay in situations where someone else is in charge. Think of a young adult who constantly runs to their parents to solve their problems instead of tackling them themselves. Or an employee who always waits for explicit, detailed instructions rather than taking any initiative.
They avoid the effort of choosing.
Yes, they avoid the effort and the responsibility. It might feel less stressful in the short term, but this approach seriously hinders personal growth. It stops you from developing critical decision-making skills, that muscle of self-determination. They simply lack the will to assert their own choices and preferences.
So what's the suggestion for building that will?
It's about starting small, gradually taking on more responsibility. Practicing making small decisions for yourself. You don't have to, make some huge life-altering decision tomorrow. Maybe start by taking initiative on a small task at work you normally ask permission for. Or simply deciding how you want to spend your evening, rather than passively going along with others' plans. Each small act of choosing and taking responsibility builds that muscle of self-determination. It strengthens your will, preparing you for bigger, more impactful choices down the road. It's a progressive journey of reclaiming your autonomy step by step.
Okay, so we focused a lot on the individual choosing, happiness, self-acceptance, building courage and will. How does this philosophy then expand outward to our connections with other people? Because the material strongly suggests that everything, all our joys, all our problems, is ultimately tied to our relationships.
Yes, that's a fundamental tenet of Adlerian thought. It's where the individual work really meets the world. Adler's profound insight was that the human experience, at its very core, is an experience of connection. We are fundamentally social beings. He posited that every single joy we feel and every problem or suffering we encounter can ultimately be traced back to our interpersonal relationships. Think about it: loneliness, conflict, belonging, love. It's all relational,
That's a sweeping statement, all problems.
pretty much in the Adlerian view. Even something like financial worry often ties back to comparison with others, or relationship dynamics, or societal pressures. So cultivating genuine connections becomes absolutely paramount for a harmonious life and for achieving that deep sense of belonging we all crave. The philosophy urges us to shift our perspective, to see others not as rivals in a competition, but as comrades, as fellow travelers on this journey. Fostering mutual respect is key.
Comrades, not rivals. That's a big shift.
It is. And central to this is the German term Gemeinschaftsgefühl. It's often translated as community feeling or social interest, but it's much richer than that. It's not just about getting along or being nice. It's about seeing with the eyes of another person, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. It's an active, empathetic engagement with others.
Seeing, listening, feeling with their perspective.
Exactly. And it extends beyond your immediate circle to your community, and ideally to humanity as a whole. Adler believed feelings of inferiority often arise precisely because we compare ourselves to others and see them as enemies or competitors in a constant struggle for status, resources, or affection.
The comparison trap again.
Right. And the solution proposed is to fundamentally shift that perception. View others as comrades. and instead of competing, actively offer help and support. This foundational shift can transform your entire social landscape, moving you from a potentially isolating, self-focused existence to a richer, more interconnected one.
Okay, this connects to something you mentioned earlier. If happiness is an internal choice, how do we actually feel it? How does it manifest in a way that feels, well, fulfilling? You said the answer lies in contribution.
Yes, this is where the internal choice finds its external expression and its deepest sense of reward. The material details how genuine, lasting happiness doesn't really come from self-centered pursuits, accumulating wealth, seeking fame, constantly taking from the world. Instead, it arises from actively contributing to the welfare of others, playing a meaningful role in your community, however small you perceive that role to be.
So it's the feeling of being useful.
Exactly. That feeling of contribution is described as absolutely essential for developing a robust sense of self-worth and belonging. When you contribute, you feel valuable, you feel needed, you feel connected to something larger than yourself. And crucially, this feeling is not dependent on getting acknowledged or praised for your contribution. It's an internal state of satisfaction that comes from the act itself.
So you don't need the thank you note.
Ideally, no. It's about the act of giving, whether that's offering your skills, your confidence in someone, showing respect, performing simple acts of kindness, or just doing your part reliably in a shared task, without waiting for recognition or expecting something specific in return. It's about proactively offering support. The philosophy embodies the principle, give, and it shall be given unto you, not necessarily in a material or transactional way, but in the profound internal reward, the feeling of worth, the happiness that comes from being a valuable part of the human community. It reinforces that our true value is often found in how we uplift and connect.
But it's not self-sacrifice, is it? Not martyrdom.
No, definitely not. That's a common misconception. It's not about negating yourself for others. It's about finding your own happiness and fulfillment through the act of contributing to meaningful connection. It's seeing your well-being as intertwined with the well-being of the community.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, digging deeper into building those connections, the material defines respect in a really specific and powerful way. It goes beyond just being polite or admiring someone's skills.
Yes, this is a crucial distinction for building healthy relationships based on Adlerian principles. Freely given respect, in this context, means truly recognizing someone for who they are as an individual human being. It means accepting them fundamentally without trying to change them, manipulate them, or mold them into your ideal. If you're constantly trying to fix someone or get them to behave how you want, you're not actually showing them respect in this sense. You're trying to control them based on your needs or judgments.
So respect is linked to acceptance.
Deeply. The material suggests it might be helpful to think of this kind of respect as synonymous with unconditional confidence in the other person. It means having a fundamental belief in their potential, their worth, and their ability to manage their own life and make their own choices, even if you don't agree with those choices.
Unconditional confidence.
Wow.
Wow, that's hard.
It takes courage. This profound respect originates internally from your own sense of self-worth and your conscious choice. It's not dependent on the other person's character, abilities, or behavior. It's not something they have to earn from you. Because it originates within you, you can choose to offer it to everyone. Your loved ones, colleagues, strangers on the street, even people you find difficult. Simply because they are fellow human beings, part of the community. It's a gift you choose to give, fostering connection.
And how does empathy fit in with this respect?
Empathy is presented alongside respect as essential, but it's framed not just as a passive feeling, but as an active skill you cultivate. It's about truly trying to understand another person's life and heart, stepping into their subjective experience. It's different from sympathy. Sympathy is often feeling for someone from a distance, oh, it's too bad. Empathy is attempting to feel with them to understand why they feel the way they do from their perspective.
Getting inside their world.
Exactly. It involves having genuine concern for their concerns, their perspective, their feelings. And crucially, it involves being willing to dive in, to engage with their reality, rather than just observing safely from the sidelines. So if a friend is struggling, sympathy might offer platitudes. Empathy involves active listening, asking questions to understand, what's that like for you? Trying to grasp their unique emotional landscape, even if you've never been through the exact same thing. You put yourself imaginatively in their shoes.
And this builds connection.
Tremendously. And the philosopher makes a powerful point. Courage is contagious, and respect is contagious too. When you consistently model these qualities, respect for others' autonomy, empathetic understanding, it creates ripples. It inspires others and strengthens the overall feeling of community, like a Gemeinschaftsgefühl. It's an active way of weaving the social fabric tighter.
So to cultivate this community feeling, this respect and empathy, we need to actively work on what Adler called the three fundamental life tasks. These are the core relationships: work, friendship, and love. Can you break those down for us?
Yes, these three tasks represent the main arenas where our interpersonal relationships play out. They form the bedrock of our social existence, each requiring different levels and types of connection, commitment, and courage. Successfully navigating them is considered key to a fulfilling life. First, let's talk about work relationships. These are seen as primarily necessary for survival. Humans need to work to sustain themselves, and society organizes this through the division of labor. This structure inherently requires cooperation and trust. You rely on the farmer, the builder, the doctor.
We all depend on each other's work.
Precisely. And a key point here is that all forms of work, all professions, are considered honorable if they contribute to the community. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a street cleaner. Your worth in this context isn't determined by the type of work you do or its status. It's determined by the attitude with which you approach your work. Are you doing it responsibly? With dedication? With a sense of contributing to the whole, even in a small way?
So it's about how you work, not what you do.
Exactly. And interestingly, even pursuing self-interest within this division of labor, like the example of a bow maker specializing in making bows to trade for food, ultimately connects to other interests. By specializing, they become more efficient, benefiting the whole community. Adam Smith talked about this economically, but Adler saw its deep psychological significance for relationships. Work becomes a primary stage for developing belonging and contribution.
Okay, so work relationships are about cooperation and contribution. What about friendships?
Friendship relationships are the next level. These are seen as crucial for learning about others beyond just colleagues or family, and for actively developing that deeper community feeling, Gemeinschaftsgefühl. Building strong friendships, from this perspective, starts with that deep respect we talked about, genuinely liking people for who they are, accepting their quirks and flaws, not trying to mold them. And empathy is vital here too. Trying to understand your friends' perspectives, considering their needs and choices, demonstrating genuine interest in their lives, actively listening, valuing their viewpoint even when you disagree.
So it's less conditional than work, perhaps?
Ideally, yes. Friendships, in this view, should be fundamentally selfless and unconditional, based on genuine fondness and mutual respect, enriching life without being primarily about utility or transactional benefit. They thrive on a deeper, non-utilitarian connection. The material suggests that with a true friend, you should be able to share everything, your joys, your vulnerabilities, your mistakes, and the relationship won't crumble because it's built on accepting the whole person.
Yeah.
It's in these relationships we really practice seeing others as comrades and grow our capacity for wider community feeling.
And the third life task.
The third, and arguably the most profound and demanding, is love relationships. This is presented as the ultimate life task where many of these Adlerian principles culminate. It requires the greatest courage, the deepest commitment, and the most profound vulnerability, but it also offers the potential for the deepest fulfillment and the most significant liberation from self-centeredness. We'll definitely need to unpack love in more detail, as it's a huge part of this philosophy.
Right, so these three tasks: work, friendship, love, are the key arenas for applying these principles and growing our connection.
Exactly. Each offers unique challenges and opportunities for growth and self-reliance, courage, respect, empathy, and that all-important community feeling, moving from an individual focus towards a more connected, contributing life. The skills and courage you build in work and friendship help prepare you for the complexities of love.
Okay, this seems like a good point to shift focus slightly. Let's apply these principles to another crucial area: education. The material presents a perspective on teaching and raising children that, well, it feels pretty revolutionary compared to how things are often done. What's the core idea?
It really is revolutionary, and it challenges many deeply ingrained practices in parenting and schooling. The absolute core aim of education, from this Adlerian standpoint, is to foster self-reliance in students. Educators, whether parents or teachers, are ideally seen not as authority figures who dictate, control, and judge, but as counselors. Their role is to assist, guide, offer support, and facilitate learning. The key is assisting independence, not intervening or imposing control.
Counselors, not controllers. That's a different model.
A very different model. The ultimate goal is to help children achieve genuine independence, the ability to make their own choices and take responsibility for them, and alongside that, develop a strong sense of community, that Gemeinschaftsgefühl. And the deepest meaning of self-reliance here is quite profound. It's defined as breaking away from self-centeredness.
Breaking away from self-centeredness, how does that connect to independence?
Well, think about early childhood. It's naturally self-centered, right? The child is the center of their universe, and adults often exist to meet their needs. That's necessary for survival initially, but true independence, true maturity, involves moving beyond that. It means understanding yourself as part of a larger community, capable of making choices that consider others, capable of contributing, capable of standing on your own 2 feet without needing the world to revolve around you. Education's role is to guide that transition.
Okay, that reframes self-reliance. Now, here's the really radical part you touched on earlier. The material rejects both praise and punishment as effective tools in education. That's going to blow some minds. Most parenting and teaching relies heavily on one or both.
It absolutely does, and this critique is central to the Adlerian approach to education. It digs deep into the psychological effects of these methods, going beyond just surface-level behavior modification. Let's start with punishment. It's seen as not only ineffective in the long run, but actively detrimental. Why? Because punishment typically leads to resentment, fear, rebellion, or sneakiness, ways to avoid future punishment rather than genuine understanding or a change of heart.
So the kid learns not to get caught, not why the behavior was wrong.
Often, yes. Their focus shifts from the act itself to the punisher and the consequence. Furthermore, the material argues that much of what we label problem behavior doesn't stem from malice, but from simple ignorance. The example given is a child burning an ant with a magnifying glass. It might look cruel, but the child might genuinely not understand the value of life or the concept of pain for the ant. The solution isn't yelling or punishment, but teaching. Calmly explaining the ant's life, its pain, its role, providing context and fostering empathy, that's far more constructive.
And what if it's not ignorance? What if the child is deliberately acting out?
Then, the behavior is often seen as a cry for help, expressing an unmet need or a mistaken goal. Adler identified several patterns here. Maybe the child is demanding admiration, seeking undue attention, engaging in power struggles, trying to prove the adult can't control them, seeking revenge, lashing out because they feel hurt or wronged, or even proving incompetence to avoid pressure or responsibility.
So the behavior has a purpose, even if it's misguided.
Exactly. Punishment ignores that underlying purpose. And rebuke, yelling, harsh words. These are viewed as immature forms of communication. They foster disrespect, model poor conflict resolution, and actually reveal the adult's own lack of composure and courage in handling the situation effectively. The educator's role is counselor, protect the child, guide them to better solutions, not judge imposing law and order.
Okay, the case against punishment is strong. But praise. Why is praise seen as equally harmful? It feels so positive.
This is often the more surprising part for people. Praise is considered harmful for similar reasons related to motivation and self-reliance. When children are constantly motivated by praise, what are they learning? They learn to do good things for external favor, to please the authority figure, the parent, the teacher, not because they understand the intrinsic value of the action or because they want to contribute or because it aligns with their own sense of right and wrong.
You're doing it for the praise.
Precisely. They learn to perform for applause. This undermines the development of genuine self-reliance and intrinsic motivation. It also fosters an unhealthy competitive environment, especially in classrooms. If praise is the main currency, students start seeing each other as rivals, all scrambling for that limited resource, the teacher's approval. This can lead to showing off, trying to undermine peers, even cheating, all to stand out and get that external validation.
Instead of collaborating or learning for its own sake.
Exactly. It prevents them from developing self-approval, from judging their own efforts and worth internally. So instead of praise, the material strongly advocates for encouragement.
Encouragement, not praise. What's the difference?
Encouragement focuses on the child's effort, their progress, their contribution, their courage to try, without evaluating their inherent worth based on the outcome or comparing them to others. It's saying, I see how hard you worked on that, or thank you for helping out, that made a difference, or it takes courage to try something new like that. It builds their internal locus of control and self-esteem, rather than making them dependent on external judgment.
I see the distinction. It's about the process and effort, not just the result or comparison.
Yes. And building on this non-authoritarian approach, the material uses a powerful metaphor, viewing the classroom as a democratic nation.
A democratic, and what does that mean practically?
It means that the ultimate sovereignty, the real power, should lie with the students themselves, not be solely concentrated in the teacher. The teacher isn't a dictator or even a prime minister. They are a facilitator, a guide. This implies that rules, for instance, shouldn't just be imposed from above. Ideally, they should be established through mutual discussion and consensus among the students, with the teacher facilitating that process.
So the kids help make the rules.
Yes, think about rules for classroom behavior, or how to share resources or resolve disagreements. If the students have a hand in creating them, if they understand the reasons behind them and feel ownership, they are far more likely to genuinely observe them. It fosters responsibility and mutual respect.
Rather than just obeying because they're told to.
Exactly. It shifts the dynamic from top-down authority, which can feel arbitrary and lead to resistance, to a more respectful, collaborative environment. It moves away from an organization based on power struggles towards one based on mutual understanding and shared goals, mirroring that ideal of community feeling. It's practical training in democratic living.
That's a very different vision of a classroom.
It is. And underpinning all of this praise, punishment, democracy is the fundamental concept we mentioned before, applied specifically here, the separation of tasks.
Right. Focus on your own responsibilities. Don't interfere with others.
Exactly. And don't let others interfere inappropriately with yours. In education, the task of studying, of learning, belongs unequivocally to the child. It is their task. The educator's task, parent or teacher, is to assist, guide, provide resources, offer encouragement, show genuine interest and support, but not to take over the child's task, not to force them, nag them, or control their learning process directly.
So no forcing homework.
The philosophy would argue against it. It means trusting the child to make their own decisions about their studies. And this is crucial, trusting them to learn from the natural consequences of those decisions. If they choose not to study, they might get poor grades. That experience is often a far more powerful teacher than any amount of parental nagging.
Learning from mistakes, again.
Yes. The educator's role is to be available, to offer help, if asked, to show concern, but ultimately to respect the child's autonomy over their own tasks. Any attempt to coerce or control the child's studying is seen as trespassing on their task, hindering their development of self-reliance and responsibility. It's about offering a supportive hand, not carrying them across the finish line.
That requires a lot of trust from the adult.
A huge amount of trust and courage from the adult side to let go of control and allow the child to navigate their own path, mistakes and all.
Okay, so we've covered education. Let's move now to what you call the ultimate life task. Love. The perspective here sounds like it really challenges our usual romantic notions, not just a feeling you fall into.
Definitely not. This is perhaps one of the most challenging and ultimately most liberating perspectives in the material. Love, in this view, is absolutely not something passive that just happens to you, like catching a cold or falling into a hole. It's not portrayed as an uncontrollable impulse or a matter of fate. Instead, it's framed dynamically as an art of loving, something that is actively built, deliberately constructed by two people working together. It requires courage, commitment, and sustained effort over time. It's a significant life task demanding active engagement, not just passive desire or waiting for lightning to strike.
An art form you have to practice.
Precisely. The philosophy carefully distinguishes this active, chosen human love from other concepts like divine love or biological drives or the often generalized romantic ideals. Why the distinction? Because, it's argued, many people avoid talking about love in this active, responsible way because it's so deeply personal and demands so much engagement. It's easier, less scary perhaps, to fall back on vague concepts like destiny or instinct or chemistry. We were just meant to be, or I couldn't help myself. These ideas can let us off the hook from taking direct responsibility for cultivating the relationship.
Like wanting a fancy camera versus actually learning the art of photography?
That's the exact analogy used. One is a passive desire for an object or a state. The other is an active, ongoing commitment to mastering a skill, practicing, making choices, creating something beautiful through effort. Love, in this sense, is an art form that requires conscious practice, patience, communication, and immense courage. It's very much a verb, an action, not just a noun or a feeling.
So if love is this active task, what does it do? What's its purpose in this framework?
Its purpose is profound. This active, courageous approach to love fundamentally shifts the primary subject of your life. It moves you from me to us. Love is described as a task accomplished jointly by two people, building a shared happiness, a shared world that becomes inseparable. This transition is presented as perhaps the most powerful means to achieve liberation from self-centeredness.
Liberation from self-centeredness again. How does love achieve that?
Remember we talked about the pampered childhood lifestyle. That pattern, often unconscious, of expecting the world to revolve around you, using weakness or demands to control others, seeking constant validation. It's rooted in early survival strategies but can persist into adulthood, hindering true connection.
The adult who needs constant reassurance or uses guilt.
Exactly. These are often echoes of that self-centered focus. Achieving genuine self-reliance, true maturity, means actively breaking free from these patterns. And love, the commitment to building an us, is presented as the ultimate catalyst for this liberation. Why? Because to truly build an us, you have to move beyond primary concern for just me. You have to learn to see with their eyes, feel with their heart, consider their needs and goals alongside your own. It forces you to confront and dismantle your self-centered tendencies. By changing your life primary subject from me to us, love enables you to truly accept the world, to engage with it more fully and contribute more meaningfully. And this us doesn't have to stop at the couple. Ideally, it broadens out, starting with two. It expands to encompass the community and ultimately the whole human race. It's the pinnacle of developing Gemeinschaftsgefühl.
Moving from what can I get to what can we build together?
That's the essence of the transformation. That's the liberation love offers.
Okay, but this raises a big question. We live in a culture saturated with romance novels, movies, songs, all promoting this idea of fated love, uncontrollable passion, finding the one, the soulmate you just wait for. How do we square that with this active, courageous, art of loving approach? It feels like it strips away the magic.
It certainly challenges the conventional magic, and that's intentional. The material directly addresses the common fear of love, the fear of commitment, the fear of vulnerability, the fear of getting hurt. This fear is often linked back to those self-esteem issues we discussed, and particularly to that lingering childhood lifestyle where the primary goal is to be loved, to be taken care of, rather than to actively love. If your main focus is securing love and approval for me, genuine commitment to an us feels threatening. You might lose something.
Fear of being disliked, maybe.
Absolutely. If you need everyone's approval, committing deeply to one person, potentially facing conflict or disagreement within that relationship feels incredibly risky. So the philosophy critiques the romantic illusion of a destined one quite harshly. It suggests this fantasy is often used, maybe unconsciously, as a convenient excuse to avoid the real work and courage required for genuine relationships. It lets you eliminate candidates.
How does waiting for the one let you eliminate candidates?
Well, if you're holding out for this perfect, mythical soulmate who requires no effort, no compromise, no difficult conversations, then you can easily find flaws in every real person you meet. Oh, they're great, but they're not the one. It becomes a perpetual justification for avoiding the messy, challenging, but ultimately rewarding task of actually building love with an imperfect fellow human being.
It's a way to avoid responsibility.
Precisely. It allows you to sidestep the responsibility of actively choosing a partner and actively committing to building a life together. So love and marriage, in this view, are presented not as fated events you stumble into, but as conscious decisions. Decisions based on personal commitment, shared values, and mutual respect. They require the courage to face difficulties together, to communicate, to compromise, to keep choosing the relationship, rather than seeking passive comfort, avoiding conflict at all costs, or relying on fleeting emotions to sustain things. It's about actively saying, I choose you, and I choose to build this us with you. Not just passively feeling, I can't help being drawn to you.
That puts a lot of responsibility on the individuals.
It does. It's about agency and choice, even in love. And related to this, the material briefly touches on parental influence. While parental love is vital for survival, it can sometimes become, even unintentionally, a tool for control if parents don't actively support their child's journey towards self-reliance. Parents need to aim for equal, respectful relationships, empowering their children rather than keeping them dependent through indulgence or control, thus avoiding perpetuating that pampered childhood lifestyle. This also connects to how our early family dynamics, like sibling birth order, can shape our underlying lifestyle, our fundamental approach to life and relationships. A firstborn might constantly strive to regain a lost position of centrality. A secondborn might be forever racing to catch up. Understanding these tendencies isn't about being defined by them, but about gaining awareness so you can consciously choose different, more constructive ways of relating as an adult, especially in love. It's about using awareness to exercise courage.
It all seems to circle back to that one core idea, doesn't it? Underpinning everything we've discussed. Individual happiness, relationships, education, love is this fundamental concept of courage. It feels like the engine driving the entire philosophy.
It absolutely is. Courage is presented as the essential, overarching virtue. It's the thread weaving through every principle. It's the courage to choose your own life, your own meaning, your own happiness, independent of circumstances. It's the courage to face challenges head-on, to learn from mistakes instead of being paralyzed by fear. Critically, it's the courage to be disliked, the courage to live authentically according to your own values, even if it means not getting everyone's approval. That's huge. It's the courage to accept yourself fully with all your imperfections. And it's the courage to actively love, to commit, to build relationships rather than passively waiting for connection to find you.
Taking the first step.
Yes, it's about taking that crucial first step, even when you don't have all the answers, even without guaranteed success or immediate support, even when the path feels uncertain or lonely. And the philosopher leaves us with a really powerful thought. Cowardice is contagious, and courage is contagious too.
Courage is contagious.
Think about what that means. Your personal acts of courage, choosing differently, speaking respectfully, contributing genuinely, loving actively, they aren't just isolated events. They can inspire others. They create ripples. They can unite comrades in a shared journey toward a better life, a better community, a better world. That's the true power offered here. It's not just psychology for understanding. It's a psychology of use, a psychology of courage that empowers you right now in this moment to change your life, to be the author of your own happiness and contribution. It demands active participation, yes, but the potential reward is profound liberation.
Wow, that's a lot to take in, but incredibly inspiring. Okay, let's try and distill this into a final provocative thought for everyone listening. So, if happiness is truly a choice you make right here, right now, and your past isn't fixed but is a story you're constantly editing based on your present goals, here's something to consider. What specific belief about your past, maybe an old hurt, a perceived failure, or what current perception of a relationship or even a job might you choose to rewrite or reframe today? How could you reinterpret it to better serve your path towards courage, towards contribution, towards building that awesome?
That's the challenge. Consider the profound implication that your narrative isn't set in stone. It's a living document. By consciously choosing to interpret past events or present difficulties through this lens of purpose, contribution, and self-responsibility, you actively create the meaning that defines your current reality. And that, in turn, shapes your future actions and experiences. So the question to leave you with is, what courageous step, however small, will you take today to become the author of your own story? To step fully into your now with a renewed sense of agency, connection, and the courage to be happy.
This was it on today's book, guys. Kindly subscribe and follow us for more such insights on various books. And also, do not forget to join our social media community to stay in touch and get updated.